15 elite engineers failed to fix a billionaire's prized Ferrari. His last resort? A greasy-handed young black girl no one took seriously. What she did next left a room full of millionaires speechless. Before we start, like this video and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories. The morning sun had just begun to rise over a quiet Alabama town when the sound of screeching tires shattered the stillness. A blood-red Ferrari LaFerrari rolled into Monroe Auto Repair, its engine sputtering like a dying animal. The driver stepped out wearing a $1,000 suit in a look of pure disgust. Carter Blackwell, a billionaire real estate mogul known for arrogance as much as wealth, removed his sunglasses and tossed them on the hood of the car like garbage. He glanced around the dusty lot before muttering, "This dump. I was told there was a miracle worker here." Inside the garage, 18-year-old Riley Monroe, a black girl, wiped grease from her hands and stepped out from beneath a lifted pickup. She wore a faded navy jumpsuit, her name patch barely visible under years of wear. Her ponytail was frizzy, her hands rough, and her boots covered in oil stains. She had grown up, surrounded by broken engines and the sound of her late father's voice, teaching her how to listen, not just look, when diagnosing a machine. Riley's mother, Sandra, came to the front and smiled politely. "Sir, can I help you?" Carter looked at Riley, then back at Sandra with disbelief. "Your mechanic is teenage girl. You must be joking." Riley stepped forward without blinking. "We do not joke about engines here." The tension was thick, but Carter thrived on disrespect. He waved toward his Ferrari. "This car has stumped 15 of the best mechanics money can buy. You think a high school girl with dirt on her face can solve what they could not? I do not think." "I know," Riley said softly. His chuckle was slow and sarcastic. "I will make you a deal," he said, stepping closer. "If you can fix it, I will pay whatever price you name. But if you fail, you admit in front of everyone that you are just playing pretend." Riley's mother reached for her daughter's arm, whispering, "You do not have to prove anything, baby." But Riley gently pulled away, her eyes fixed on the car. "It is not about proving anything, Mama. It is about hearing what no one else listened to." She walked past Carter, past the crowd forming near the edge of the lot, and placed her palm on the hood of the Ferrari like she was greeting an old friend. The engine still gave off heat, and with closed eyes she listened, not to the sound but to the rhythm, the breath, the heartbeat buried under steel and silence. The crowd waited for her to fail. Carter had already pulled out his phone, ready to record her humiliation. The world loves to laugh at those who try, but Riley did not try. She acted, and as the sun continued rising, something inside the engine began to shift. The air around the Ferrari grew still. No one spoke, not the businessmen with arms crossed and grins on their faces, not Carter Blackwell, whose phone camera continued rolling, not even Sandra Monroe, who had known her daughter's gift, but never seen it put to a test like this. Riley stood motionless, her hand on the hood, listening to the machine like it was speaking a language only she understood. Then, without a word, she moved. She did not ask for help. She did not look for permission. She grabbed a rusty stool from the corner, propped it beside the Ferrari, and opened the hood with a practice flick of her fingers. A few murmurs rippled through the crowd when they saw the complex maze of parts exposed beneath the Ferrari loft. Ferrari was not just a car. It was a beast, a machine engineered with secrets, guarded by technology, and designed to humble even seasoned professionals. Riley picked up her father's old toolbox and opened it. Every tool was worn but organized with care. She selected a small wrench in a screwdriver, then leaned into the engine bay. Her fingers moved with certainty, disconnecting a part here, tightening a bolt there, adjusting something no one else had even noticed. You have not even run diagnostics, one of Carter's assistants scoffed. I did, Riley replied calmly without looking up. The second it pulled into the lot, the arrogance in Carter's expression wavered. For the first time, she worked in silence, but inside her mind, a symphony played. She heard the stutter in the pistons like a skipped beat in a song. She felt the imbalance in the airflow, like a whisper out of rhythm. Her mind danced through the engineering like a composer with perfect pitch. Every part spoke. Every sound had a reason. Every bolt held meaning. People began recording. Someone whispered, "She is really doing something." Carter narrowed his eyes. She is guessing, just putting on a show. But Riley was not guessing. She replaced a faulty ignition coil she found cracked beneath a layer of insulation. She reprogrammed a timing sensor with her father's ancient diagnostic device that Carter's team would have mocked. Then she stood up, stepped back, and handed Carter the keys. Without a word, he laughed. "You think that mess you just made will do anything?" "Start it," Riley said. The silence was heavy. Carter rolled his eyes and turned the key. The engine roared to life. Not just alive, but pure, smooth, balanced, powerful. The sound was no longer broken or forced. Purred with pride like a beast awakened from a long, painful slumber. Gasped, erupted. Phones were still recording, but no one spoke. Carter stared at the dashboard, at the perfect readings, lighting up, at the flawless hum of the engine. Riley stood with oil on her hands and fire in her eyes. She did not smile. She did not need to. Her work spoke louder than applause. What she did not know was that her life had just changed forever. The Ferrari's engine echoed through the lot like a thunderclap. For a long moment, Carter Blackwell said nothing. His jaw tightened. His fingers hovered above the key as if trying to make sense of the impossible. The readings on the screen showed flawless calibration, oil, pressure perfect, no misfires, no leaks. The beast that had defied technology laughed at experts and drained thousands of dollars in failed repairs, now hummed like it had just rolled out of the Maranello factory. He stepped out of the car slowly. The crowd waited for his reaction, expecting either rage or denial. But what came next shocked everyone. He clapped, not out of sarcasm, not out of mockery, but genuine disbelief. A single stunned clap followed by another. Then he turned to Riley and studied her like he was seeing her for the first time. "What is your name?" "Riley Monroe," she answered, her voice steady. He walked up to her, ignoring the cameras and whispers around them. "Where did you learn that?" "That was not guesswork. That was design level understanding. My father taught me," she replied. "He fixed machines like they were family." Carter paused. "He must have been a genius." "He was," she said quietly. "But people like you never gave him a chance." The words hit harder than she intended, but she did not flinch. Carter looked away, jaw clenched. For the first time, the billionaire, who was used to being the smartest man in the room, realized he had just been outclassed by a teenager with hand-me-down tools and grease-stained boots. That same moment, someone live streaming the event whispered, "She fixed it. The mechanic's daughter fixed a love Ferrari." Comments began pouring in. Thousands watching, then millions. Clips of Riley touching the hood, opening the engine, identifying problems no engineer had seen. Everything was now viral. Her name flooded social platforms. Monroe, girl outsmarts billionaire team. Teen. Mechanic fixes $3 million Ferrari in under an hour. Journalists started calling. News vans were already rerouting, but Riley was not thinking about cameras. She looked at the car one last time, her eyes calm, like a composer walking away from the stage. After the final note, Carter caught up to her as she walked back toward the garage. Riley, wait. She turned, hands still black with oil. I want to offer you a position, he said. You should not be wasting your talent here. I am not wasting it, she replied. I am building it one engine at a time. I will pay you whatever you want. College, tools, travel. You can design machines for my companies. You could be the face of innovation. Riley paused. You mocked me 10 minutes ago. I did, Carter admitted. And I was wrong. I will admit that to anyone who asks. She studied him. Then do it. Admit it. Publicly. He nodded slowly. I will. But Riley did not need an apology. She already won something bigger. Respect. Earned with silence and skill. She turned away. But what she did not know was that a far more powerful figure had been watching from a distance. Someone with more influence than Carter. Someone ready to change her life forever. The dust had not even settled in the parking lot before a long black limousine pulled up to the curb. Its windows were tinted, so dark they reflected the sky like mirrors. No one recognized the vehicle, but the energy shifted instantly. The door opened with a soft click and out stepped a woman in a sharp white suit and sunglasses, flanked by two quiet assistants. Her heels clicked against the pavement with precision. Those who recognized her went silent. Madison Ford, Chief Executive Officer of the Ford Automotive Innovation Group, billionaire visionary, a legend in the world of engineering and design, and she had arrived unannounced. Riley was inside the garage wiping down her tools when Sandra rushed in breathless. Baby, there is someone here. Important. Riley stepped outside just as Madison approached the garage entrance. Their eyes met, one pair polished by corporate boardrooms, the other sharpened by years of grime and gears. Madison extended her hand. You must be Riley Monroe. Riley looked down at her own oil-covered palm, wiped it on her jumpsuit, and shook Madison's hand without flinching. I watched everything, Madison said. You fixed that engine in ways I have never seen before. You did not just repair it. You understood it. I listened to it, Riley said. Machines speak. People just do not always listen. Smile tugged at Madison's lips. She nodded to her assistant, who stepped forward and handed Riley a sleek envelope. Inside was an offer and all expenses paid scholarship to the Ford Institute of Mechanical Innovation, mentorship under Madison herself, access to labs, patents, resources, and the opportunity to design with the world's most advanced engineers. Riley stared at the letter, felt unreal, like a dream formed out of smoke and spark plugs. Me? Madison stepped closer. Because talent like yours cannot be taught, it must be found and respected. From across the street, Carter watched it all unfold. For once, he said nothing. He just stood there, hands in pockets, realizing he had been a stepping stone in someone else's story. The videos of Riley's Fix had reached over 30 million views within a day. Interviews, features, and invitations flooded in, but she remained grounded. The same girl who once knelt in the dirt to fix old engines now stood among titans. The scholarship ceremony weeks later, cameras flashed as Riley took the stage. But she did not give a rehearsed speech. She told a story. My father once said, the world will either try to use your gift or bury it. But if you stay honest to the work, not the praise, you will Build something that lasts. I do not fix cars. I listen to them. And today I listen to all of you. The audience rose in thunderous applause. Madison smiled from the front row. Back in her hometown, the garage still stood. Riley kept it open. Not for money, not for fame, but for kids like her. For girls who get laughed at for having grease on their cheeks. For dreamers who speak the language of machines. The girl once mocked for being a mechanic's daughter became the name, etched into the next generation of engineering. The story has now come to an end, and now the lesson begins. There was a time when Riley Monroe was just the mechanic's daughter. People saw her oil-stained hands and called her unqualified. They saw her jumpsuit and assumed she had no future. They saw her youth and dismissed her. They saw a young black girl and dismissed her. But Riley was not looking for approval. She was not chasing applause. She was listening to the machines, to her instincts, to something deeper than recognition. And that is where the lesson begins. Life will often wrap its greatest gifts in disguises that look like rejection. You may be underestimated, doubted, even laughed at, especially when you do not fit the image of what greatness is supposed to look like. But those moments, those very insults are invitations. They are fuel. They are your chance to prove not just to others, but to yourself that purpose beats privilege every single time. Riley did not have access to million-dollar labs, world-class education, or prestigious mentors. What she had was curiosity. She had consistency. She had hours and hours of hands-on practice beside a man who taught her to treat every engine like a heartbeat. While others looked for shortcuts in software, she leaned into understanding, into listening, into solving the problem no one else wanted to touch. She did not argue when Carter mocked her. She did not beg for respect. She simply showed up, put her head down, and let her work speak volumes. She fixed what the experts had declared unfixable, and in doing so she did more than repair a car. She rewired what people believed was possible. That is the lesson. Do not wait for permission. Do not seek validation from people who cannot see your worth. The very people who ignore you today may one day find themselves clapping for you with trembling hands. And when that day comes, you will realize you never needed them. You only ever needed to believe in yourself. Let Riley's journey remind you that greatness does not come from titles, expensive suits, or flashy resumes. It comes from passion that burns quietly, discipline that refuses to quit, and integrity that never compromises. It comes from doing the work, especially when no one is watching. So whatever your Ferrari is, the challenge that people say you cannot fix, the dream they say is out of reach, go after it. Even if your tools are old, even if your hands are dirty, even if the crowd is laughing, because when you finally solve it, when your gift becomes undeniable, the world will not be able to ignore you. They will try to label you, but you, just like Riley, will rewrite every label with your actions. So here is the truth. You are not just anything. You are not too young. You are not too late. You are not too different. You are exactly what this world needs. And it is time you believed it. If this story touched you, remember someone else needs to hear it too. Share it. Carry the message forward. Because every unheard genius out there deserves to be reminded. Your moment is coming. Keep building it.